And
Jim, I'm sending you live on Zoom on YouTube.
Yep.
All right.
Are we ready to go?
Yep.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the YouTube portion of White Noise. And I'm looking forward to showing off this amazing artist rendition of Jim Hunt, the psychic impression by our intuitive artist, Ariel Husani, who was my last guest a couple of weeks ago. And I've got a lot of nice things in here. I'm not going to say the personal stuff that's in here because it's none of your business. But this is all our business because he's been getting orders left, right, and center from all of my friends on Jim Hunt Official and all the followers and stuff. And I think it's just amazing. So without further ado, and trying to wreck all of this because I want to keep it. And I want to show it off a little bit more. And we're getting right there to it. And I am more excited because I haven't seen it because I didn't want to open it up until now. And it's dreampaint.ca. And here we go. And we're getting there slowly. Oh, wow. Now, guys, I'm right in front of this. This is absolutely stunning. Just beautiful. And there I am. Isn't that something? That is just like beautiful. I love it. It's crazy. And this is going to be going up behind me. Now, if anybody wants anything from Ariel Husani to draw your intuitive look, this is what she can do for you. Here, we can put it a little bit differently. Check this out. And I have the constellation of Libra right up here. So I want to, again, I'm so excited. I love this. If anybody wants anything, I will, on this episode, at the end of this episode, I will leave her website up there for everybody. And we can just go from there and have a lot of fun. And it's dreampaint.ca. Okay, guys? But here it is. And I'm really thankful for all of this. And she was a great guest, and I am going to have her back on again. And I'm hoping to get her on with some of the paintings that she's done for some of my followers, which would be very interesting for everyone to see and get an explanation of who they are. So again, Ariel Husani, thank you. Much love for me and much appreciation, okay? And I'm going to take this down quickly, put it over here, and set this up here for now. And just stay without. There we go. Oh, wow. There we go. Hey, everybody. You got kicked out, Carol or Carlos? Come on. Carlos, stop causing trouble. Did you pay your internet bill? Isn't that amazing, guys? Oh, there's Beaker Geeker. Thank you for joining. I just love that one. Hey, Daniela, how are you? Okay, so everyone that's on Instagram, which is about 11 of you, float over to the YouTube channel, Jim Hunt Official, and join us there. Please, it'll be a lot of fun. So tonight I have a guest that's going to be coming on. Her name is Lara Clayton, and I'm going to explain a few things, but I want to go through some stats because here in Canada, it is Mental Health Week. And as many of you know, or many of you who don't know, I suffer from depression. I've suffered from depression since the age of 14. It's at times, it could have been very debilitating. Suicidal thoughts at the age of 14, and then sadly at the age of 62. Working through it with a great family, a lot of support, and a lot of people who really cared about me, made me feel better. And it's always a road of recovery. It's always something that we're working on. And there are people out there, and I need to stress this to everybody. You're not alone. If you need someone, reach out. If you have no one, there's a crisis line, which I'll share at the end of this. But also, there are many of you that I've worked with last year and since through COVID, that there's been a lot of trauma that you've gone through, a lot of things, job loss, layoffs, money losses, a whole bunch of different things. And I really feel bad. And I can't make this show in an upbeat way as much as I want to, but knowing that 2023 will give us an opportunity, as hard as it is, to look at ourselves and to give ourselves an opportunity to know who our friends are, to know who our family is. And those are the people that we love, and we know that they'll love us back. So please, for me, at least reach out to someone. And many of you have reached out to me through my webpage, through my texts, through different means, through email, through just trying to reach out. And I've always answered you. I have never failed any one of you to give you some kind of information to reach out to someone. I am not a therapist, nor a psychiatrist, nor any of those things. I am just simply a life coach, an intuitive life coach who loves all of you, because this is where you put me and you trust me, and I trust you in trying to help you at the same time. I can tell you honestly, I don't have all the answers, but at least I know that I am loved. And that's the most important thing that anybody can do. Many of my friends and many of my followers, you know that you've gone through a lot. Many of my friends towards the end of 2022 lost children, lost their spouses. Cancer took over, and I say fuck cancer, and that's a saying, so it's just not me swearing like I usually do. But listen, we're here to help, and that's what everybody should be doing nowadays. It's not the same anymore, and let's be open and honest with each other, and let's be frank, okay? That's all I'm saying about it. So I want to give you some stats, which is really, really interesting. So I'm going to be looking at two different cameras. I am paying attention to you. I truly am, everybody. Good. So the 29 of you that were on Instagram, by the way, I'm down to 9. Are you joining me on Jim Hunt Official? Because that's where I want to see you. Get on there so that I can have one live guest at the end of this and do a quick reading, okay? So just join us and have some fun. So some important stats here that we all need to know, and it's a big, big deal. Some real stats in Canada. So 1 in 4 people in our population right now are suffering from depression in Canada. In the United States, which is a lot of people that I deal with every day, 1 in 3 of you are suffering from some form of depression. That is a very large number for all of us. And understand the pandemic and what it's done to us. 25% in Canada of children between the ages of 3 and 10 are suffering from some form of social dysfunction. For instance, conversations, they can't have one because they're not used to having this group connection. They've been involved with more adults than they were with children, unless they had siblings and they were just beating the shit out of each other and the parents were yelling and screaming at them. So they yell talk in school. No word of a lie, but that's the truth. Pretty bad. Group play. I have taken my daughter to the park. I have taken her to an amusement park. I have taken her to day parks. And do you know that the children do not socialize with one another? They avoid any form of hello, any form of connection still. And we've been let go on so many different ways. We're not wearing masks as much. We're going out there. Yes, COVID is still a big deal, but our children are not socializing whatsoever. In the United States, it's 45% of the children out there. Almost half of the children population right now in the United States, okay, have those problems. Anxiousness in crowds is a big deal for children. They cannot handle going to a shopping mall. They cannot handle going into a restaurant. They don't know how to deal with the noise or the conflict that's out there. Really, really hard on all of us. And sadly, we're not paying attention to a lot of the children. And we as parents, many of us are doing that and focusing in on our kids to bring them up to the standard that we want them to be, or what education wants them to be. And it's being very difficult both on the adult, the caretaker, the educator, the principals, everyone, on everyone. It's it's a lot of work for all of us. And I want to give kudos to the schools out there who act like the the third party mom and dads who help our children. I want to thank you all so very much, both in Canada and the United States. The last part, learning disabilities, spelling, writing, math. They use to learn in groups, and they learn together as much as they can. And that's where they can get to learn quicker. And it's starting to pick up from what I understand through some of the teachers, but it's still very difficult. The learning disabilities are so diversified and so different per child, per household, because not one person is able to supply and help a child the way that they want to. Lastly, which is so weird for me, and I never thought about it, motor skills. Our children, for 2.5 years almost, were stuck inside a house, a little bit of a backyard, and they didn't climb trees. They didn't go walking. They didn't do anything because our governments, and I don't know right or wrong, I'm not here to argue that point, we were kept in a box and we couldn't do anything. We couldn't express to our children that you can hear other children laughing, screaming, having fun at a park, going on a swing, learning to push themselves on a swing, learning to climb stairs. All of these things were taken away from them. So there's a lot of shit that's happening right now, and we are all, as a society, going through it. But I want all of you to understand we need to make this work. And it's just one of the craziest things in the world for all of us. I'm running 3 screens today, so please forgive me when I'm looking everywhere, but I had to put stats and thing, and I'm still blown away by that painting by Ariel behind me. I'm still teary-eyed on that because it's the essence of who I am. Without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about Lara Clayton. She's an LMFT. I wonder if that's some swear words in there, but she is a psychotherapist trained in various modalities to include psychodynamic therapy, experimental therapy, dreamwork, as well as cognitive-based therapies. All big words that I haven't used in years. She has been in the social services and mental health field for over 20 years. So I have a guest that knows what the fuck she's talking about, okay, people? And I want you to ask some questions. She's worked with individuals, couples, families, experienced serious mental illness, domestic violence, crisis, and addictions, and treating an array of related mental health disorders in outpatient and residential settings. I love this woman. It's amazing. And she goes through it and she does it every day, people. You know, trauma has been a common thread throughout her work, and much of her training has been focused on trauma-related situations. Lara completed her education at Pacifica Graduate Institute with a focus on depth psychotherapy. So without further ado, Joseph, I'd really like Lara Clayton to come on board, and I'd like to say hi to her and let our crew say hello to her. And Lara, before you talk, you're on, we have to get your mic turned on. So look at your microphone. There we go. Thank you very much. And you didn't even flinch.
I always accidentally leave my mute on and start talking in meetings.
I've said some pretty nasty things last year with that mic open, so I get it 100%.
Yeah.
Lara, thank you so much for coming on. I know this is not the intuitive side of everything, but it is in so many ways because you help people feel better when you can. And with all due respect, I want to thank you way ahead of time. And I'm going to have some questions, and I know and I hope that the audience is going to participate and ask just as many questions as I do. So these are all going to be based on trauma-specific questions, by the way, and get right into it. So what, for me personally, what made you want to get into this field, Lara?
Oh, wow. Great question.
Right off
I
the
always
bat.
get asked this question. I never really know how to answer it. I think I've just always been a very sensitive person, and I've always wondered why people do what they do, like what makes people tick. why people react in different ways. I think initially it was just that kind of curiosity about the world and how everyone is connected.
Wow, cool. What was your childhood like? Like, were you always an explorer? Were you interested in how we function? Or was it just crayons and colors and having fun? Were you different than everybody else?
Yes. I was. Most of the time I spent outside under the tree, digging in the dirt, playing with bugs, climbing trees. I love to climb trees,
Nice.
get that perspective. I don't know. I would consider myself more of an introvert, pretty thoughtful. You know, I asked my mom when I was little if I could be a philosopher when I grew up. Yeah, and she said, "Oh no, honey, they don't have those anymore." And I was like, "Oh, I was pretty bummed."
So, like most introverts, and people don't get that I am as well. And I come out of my shell because this is the job that I love doing. Were you a bookworm? I was a reader for quite a while, and then just I stopped, and life got in the way, and I stopped reading, and I'm only getting back into it now. How about you and books? Were you into that? Oh, I just noticed.
That's not a backdrop. It's not. It's not a backdrop, but I read. It was kind of our thing. My mom would take us to the library and we'd check out books. I always got mystery books.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mystery books. Mystery books. That's interesting.
Mm.
Wow. See, I wasn't in Quebec, and some of the Quebecers that I have on here, we had a mystery newspaper called Allo Police, and it was all the horrible things that took place in Montreal in the underground and the mafia and the French mafia and explicit pictures. And my grandfather would carry that paper around and be in a bus driving and reading that along with about 50 other people in the bus. I always thought that was very demented, very dark, you know. Anyway, I digress on my childhood, but that just brought back a memory. So thank you for that one. So would you mind if I ask a few more questions? I got your personal side, which I think is great.
Can I just make one correction though?
Sure.
I know in the bio you said experimental psychology, and it was actually experiential, which is different. I don't experiment on people.
Thank you. Okay, no, thank you. I want to be right. And it was probably my Fringlish, because I am French, then English, and my reading sometimes is horrible. And I'm sorry, but thank you very much for correcting.
Yeah.
Okay. So the very first question I want to hit you with is, what is trauma?
So trauma will look different to everyone, but overall, trauma is your response to a very stressful event.
Okay.
Yeah. So it affects you emotionally, and it usually has pretty long-lasting effects.
Okay.
And that's what creates triggers throughout your life, right? When I know sometimes you talk about triggers and things like that. So usually those triggers are a result of something that happened early, and it's different for everyone, you know. So some people they could have experienced the same exact event and had completely different outcomes from it. Some would be affected more emotionally than others.
See, I'm affected emotionally on abandonment because of the death of my parents at a very young age, and my sisters suffered it and still suffered to this day, and have not been able to come to a conclusion or help themselves fix themselves. And I'm not putting them on the spot or anything, but it's something that they buried like we did in the 1960s. We never addressed it, and we let it be and fester. I'm sort of the black sheep of the family, and I wouldn't allow it to fester. And so I was that person who spoke out about it, but I didn't have anybody to actually help me. And it wasn't until really into the 2000s before I met a therapist who was able to help me with that trauma, and then to work those things out, which helped me become a better life coach for sure, because I use examples on how to sort of find a way to find a boundary for that abandonment. And that was just me. and I share with everybody. So like I'm not hiding anything from what people don't already know about me, but I find that I'm much better at it now. And I bring up my youngest daughter in a completely different way than I would have brought up any other family member, to allow them to almost sort of understand what death is, even though I'm going on too much, but their age of reasoning is very important, obviously, for them to comprehend, because that's all my daughter's been asking lately, is talking about death, because she was traumatized by seeing the Pope laid out in Rome, traumatized. And she says, how come he's not getting up? And and I really had a hard time trying to answer that.
Oh, yeah. There's some, yeah, I mean, I think at that age, your daughter is still a little concrete and moving into and I also know she's pretty spiritual too. So that's got to be a funny juncture for her.
It is, because
Yeah.
she sees weird things, what other kids don't see, and aura colors in people's fingers right now is still a big deal for her. So she's learning. It's kind of weird. So thank you. Thank you for that one. So we just explained trauma, but the different types of trauma, how many, and you're saying that everybody has a different experience, but what are the main trauma that you would deal with on a regular basis after 20 years? Are they the same? Do we all fall into the same unhappiness of triggers that create this trauma? Is everyone the same that way?
Well, I mean, I have two different answers to your question there.
Okay.
No, everyone is different.
Said that. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm double checking.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is how well you're equipped to deal with the trauma early on, right? So the earlier you are, the less tools you have, resiliency, because you haven't learned those tools yet,
Right.
So if you have a trauma when you're younger, you're going to have a lot different effects than if you're an adult and you see one, very disturbing traumatic event. So, and I think, so the types of trauma and like a big kind of macro vision,
Sure.
there's acute trauma. That's one thing happens, you see a bad car accident, you see someone die,
Yep.
Some people, I will say that some people, there are theories out there that even being birthed is a trauma, going from one thing to the other. So anyway, take that as you will. I always thought
No. My first wife, she was in trauma for so yeah, that makes sense.
So there's chronic trauma. Some people suffer from, or you know what? I'm going to pull back that word suffer, and I'm going to say survive.
Okay.
They survive through chronic trauma, and that could look like domestic violence. It could look like being abused when you're younger. There's all different types of abuse. Neglect could, cause trauma. So it could be chronic stress over a period of time can cause trauma if it's within the same, like topic, even you could have trauma from working in a place if it has a toxic environment, for instance.
Right.
If it makes you question your sense of self and your sense of safety, then that's kind of trauma.
So
and then there's one other one, the complex trauma, which oftentimes includes grief, because there's typically a loss there. So you're dealing with a grief, trying to get through that grief, and then also all the effects of trauma, which affects your brain chemistry, which then physiologically affects how your body reacts to things, and then also spiritually, and then also emotionally.
So not being on the medical side of things that we're having a conversation about, are there certain levels that we go through, like anger, loss, anger, sadness, all of those things that take part in trauma? Are those true in trauma, or is that a different complete topic altogether?
I think maybe you're thinking of the stages of grief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious, and I'm not, I see how ignorant I am to it, and I need to ask the questions, because I'm looking at some questions that people are asking me, and I'm going, whoa, You have to ask that question because I'm not very good at it.
I mean,
know?
there's stages of trauma that some people have, written about and things like that. They're all different theories.
Is there trauma for dummies book out there? Sorry.
Probably, maybe.
I don't know. I had to throw it out there because everything is so serious what we're doing today. And I'm trying to, it's hard, but I really needed to talk about this because so many of my clients require some professional help. And they're all good people. And I really say that a psychotherapist, a therapist on any level could give them some help, at least a little bit, for them to feel better about themselves and that they can go into the next stage or whatever it's going to be. But to get help is important. So another question, how does trauma affect people over a lifetime?
Over a lifetime? Okay, so I'm just gonna put it out there that our bodies and psyches are amazing things, and we are designed to heal.
Wow. Okay.
So yes, so if you think about it physiologically, there's you have your nervous system. So if something happens, you have your stress response, which is your fight, flight, or freeze response. And a lot of people question, like, what is that freeze response? It's typically like a dissociation or something like that, which you also find with trauma after you go through a traumatic event. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of going off on this, but
nope, this is awesome. This is what I want people. A lot of us don't know any of this, Lara. We don't.
Okay. So I'm going to try and generalize it. So your brain works, you have neurochemicals and things like that. So you upregulate and you downregulate. So your amygdala, which is your emotional brain, the job, okay, because we're humans and we're animals, and on a very basic level, we're trying to survive in this world, right? So we have this limbic system, that's the emotional system, and what it does is it scans the environment for threat, right? It's what reminds us not to touch the hot stove. We touch the hot stove once, we don't touch the hot stove again, right? That's because we learned.
I've got lots of burns on my fingers. Well, it's me. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, so then, so we can't really blame our bodies for being traumatized because we're wired to look for threat, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of a strange thing where, yes, we're going to do that. Your amygdala is your brain, your emotional brain is the one that kind of starts feeling afraid of things. And it turns into an unconscious thing, which is what we talk about, the triggers, right? So if you're going to heal from trauma, what do? You gain awareness. This is why I have this trigger. Then you can bring it up to the front of your brain, which is your executive system. You can start thinking it through. No, you can start, is this fear one that's realistic? So if you're afraid of flying and you've been on flights 10 times, a million people that have been on a flight, you can ask yourself, what are the odds that my plane is going to crash? Pretty small. Has it happened before? No. Does it, should you be having this level of anxiety about it, kind of thing, right? That's the cognitive piece. So anyway, so it affects your body. Your body gets ready to do fight, flight, or freeze, right? It's going to either fight, it's going to run away, or you're going to dissociate and freeze. And so your body's getting ready for battle. The threat happens. Hopefully you survive it. Then what your body does is it sends chemicals down saying, we're good, we're coming down, we're regulating. So your body's always looking for a sense of homeostasis, right? So balance. Your body's constantly trying to balance itself. And where trauma and PTSD go over a period of time, if you're not healing from it, is that your system is always hyper-regulated or hyper-aroused, I should say, right? And then I will use like cortisol as our stress hormone, right?
Yes.
So at some point, that cortisol, if you're wired and you're up and it's going, it actually damages the part of your body that regulates your system, that takes the cortisol back. There's a trigger that's like, okay, we're done. We don't need the cortisol anymore. We're going to take it back, right? And then at some point, that piece is what breaks down. So the cortisol is just like running. It's like, I'm stressed. And then you're not sleeping. You're probably having trouble eating. You probably have digestive problems. You probably have depression starts setting in. You're not connecting with people. There's a lot of things in the brain. Actually, if you have a trauma that you're not moving through, it does affect how you relate to people. Like, because we have this whole system, a whole social system within our, I mean, this is all brain stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going off. So anyway, blah, blah,
we're not
blah.
going off. We just lock ourselves in a room and we don't want to talk to people, or we don't socialize with people. Or,
so that's the problem, because healing from trauma is reconnecting. Because trauma is, nobody understands what I'm going through. I'm not safe in this world. I can't trust myself to keep myself safe. That happens a lot with people who are suffering from domestic violence or some other kind of assault. So there's a lot of self-doubt. You redefine who you are. So really regaining a sense of safety is the primary thing with trauma. So you have that, you have the spiritual effects of like, there is no God or whatever your belief system is.
right.
So you spiritually start breaking down that way. And there's, things you could do for that. And then of course, your cognition is what I was talking about before. I don't deserve love. I don't, I can't keep myself safe. I'm not worthy. All of those things that repeat, right? And then how do those come out? They come out in your relationships, right? So maybe you're picking the wrong people, you're re-traumatizing, you're, putting yourself in situations where you are re-traumatized.
That's insane. When you think about everything that you're saying, and when I do a psychic reading on people, I'm getting the spiritual side of the parent, the grandparent, the brother, the sister, the one that committed suicide, the one that didn't, or the one that all of these people are asking for forgiveness and in the light and just saying, I'm so sorry I traumatized you, but we will live with that trauma for the rest of our lives if we don't deal with it or get help to deal with it. And they're trying to say sorry. And that's my problem, is when they do say sorry, a lot of time, many of my clients will get closure from there. And then they will seek a therapist at that point, knowing that they, even with whatever heartfelt trauma they went through, or they saw their family member or friend go through, knowing that they're okay on the other side allows them or gives them permission to go and get healed. That's what I like doing, because I don't have the tools that you have, and you're freaking amazing just by your conversation, young lady.
I hope I'm not losing people for you here.
Oh my God, no, I bet you everyone is just sticking around trying to figure it out. Hey, Joseph, on the mic, come on, or he's hiding. There he is.
Hey guys.
I like doing that to Joe. Joseph, do we got
Uh-huh.
people with some questions soon?
We do.
Okay.
Can trauma become embedded into our bodies? And if so, can it be released or untrained?
Do you want to repeat that? Because I didn't hear it. Sorry.
I said, can trauma become embedded in our bodies? And if so, can it be released or untrained?
Yes.
Yes.
It absolutely, interestingly, I went to the chiropractor one time and there was some weird pain. And he's like, oh, something probably happened that trauma got, that's where you're holding your trauma. Like, I never thought of a chiropractor talking to me about that, but yes, absolutely. It can be released. One of the mechanisms one of the most effective, okay, if you look up treatment for trauma, you're going to get a slew of like cognitive behavioral therapy and la. And these are all top-down therapies, right? These are all like, right. I'm going to work with my brain to regulate my body. Right. I am safe. You are worthy. All of these things that you're doing, reframing, all those kind of tools that you use to do that. But there's another one that's bottom up. Bottom up is the grounding. It's the movement. It's working with your body first to help release that a little bit, right?
Wow.
So yoga is huge. I think the saddest thing about this is what we naturally do. What we naturally do as human beings would help move us through this if we were in an environment that cultivated these things: movement, like yoga, breathing. One of the things with PTSD and trauma is there's a thing that happens with your heart and your breathing, and there's a certain pattern it goes through. And if you have trauma and you're holding on to your trauma, your heart and your breathing are not in sync, and that causes more of a restless feeling, right? And internal agitation. So yoga is great for the breathing thing. Kundalini yoga, even chanting, singing, dancing, all of these things are great to work out the trauma. And then once you get to a point where your body isn't as reactive, then you can start working on the other parts of the healing, like trying to find meaning in the trauma. Meaning making is huge,
Because I understand in the Aboriginal culture, we sing, we chant, we dance. We remove a lot of that trauma through that type of therapy. And it's not just done once a week, it's done every day.
It's a practice.
It's a practice. And we follow so much. And it's where, again, us as ignorant people at times don't understand why we're doing this process. And when we try and explain it to them, they will not understand it until they actually join in with you or try and participate. We do not have enough participants because the pessimism, is that the right word? Like they're afraid to take those leaps because they're going to be considered off or different or difficult or unresponsive to their other people that they believe they're helping them, when they're actually creating more havoc or more trauma to that person by not allowing them to go through some of those things that they want to do. Yoga, I've noticed my wife and my daughter, they're doing it now for the last 3 weeks. They come back different people an hour and a half later, completely relaxed. Let's move about our day. Let's have some fun. And they enjoy going together. Now I'm considering going, but I get embarrassed because I would be the only guy there and I got to get over that trauma.
Oh, you'd be the token dude at the yoga studio.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. But what a great explanation. Thank you so much for sharing that part. That's why I wanted to do this show. And there's so many things that we don't know or we don't understand, and even wanting to heal, and we have no place to go. You're helping us get some answers to some people that won't even ask the questions, that are sitting there beside their relationship or their spouse, and they're listening to this, and now they know that they can get an answer to help them because their spouse doesn't know how to do it. That's what I get at, and that's the psychic in me who knows that that's what's going on right now. So thank you on that one. The barriers to healing, that's a question I want to ask you, and you might be repeating yourself, but in that barrier, is it a struggle for us to accept that? And why are we always creating these barriers in healing ourselves? It's like, what are the barriers to healing?
I think some of the barriers are things that we do ourselves, and because it's hard to deal with. It's sad a lot of times. It's stressful to think about, right? So what do? We stuff it. We don't talk about it. So kind of some of those negative cognitions about ourselves or negative thinking about ourselves actually reinforce the isolation and the not reaching out for help and not connecting with people. So I would say another barrier, so that's kind of our internal barriers. We keep ourselves busy, we don't think about it, and then it comes out, right? That which we suppress,
Dealing with things.
Yeah, we get obsessed by that, whatever we repress, right? So if it's trauma, then it comes out in different ways. It's like a teapot, the steam's going to come out somewhere. It could be emotionally, it could be physically, it could be mood, it could be a lot of different things.
What about the workaholic?
Yeah, addiction. It's a type of addiction, I would say. What are you saying, Jeff?
No, nothing. No,
oh, okay.
No.
I'm going to say yes, we're keeping ourselves way too busy on that stuff. Our society's kind of set up that way. But, trying not to deal with it, right? So the workaholic, sex addiction, gambling, spending, these are all things that play with our dopamine system in our head, right? That we're
Those are,
It feels good. Feels good. So we're going to do it because we're suffering.
Joseph has every single one of those.
Uh-huh.
I was waiting. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I
So,
should probably mention too, medication,
okay.
it is really helpful. SSRIs have been proven to, I'm not a,
What is SSRI?
it's a serotonin, it's the reuptake, and I'm not a doctor. So
Understood.
SSRIs are typically antidepressants. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they do work, don't they? They do help
Yes.
us.
What they do, this is interesting. What they do is they help those connections. When you go through trauma, the parts of your brain, the neurons, they wire together in these
Yep.
different ways, right? So another part of healing in your brain is integrating those things. One of the things that SSRIs do is that it kind of opens up these pathways and helps you make different connections. So when you are doing your yoga or you are doing therapy or something like that, then it's easier to make these new connections in your brain, and it helps integrate all the parts in your brain. So you're not only in your emotional mind, you're also in your rational mind or your creative mind. And linguistics, even, a lot of times people don't realize that one of the parts that gets damaged in trauma in your brain chemically is the linguistic part. So how are you going to share, right? How can you even talk about it? So anyway, but
It's fascinating. I'm sitting here speechless. So, and that's hard for me to do. So this is so cool for me, and I'm enjoying this. This is like, I'm going to be rewatching this so I get some information from you, because you're sharing enough stuff from the local person that doesn't get it all, and it's just fantastic for me. How can I? Oh no, not me. I know the signs of people struggling so often by aura colors. They are a representative of what I see as a psychic, as a healer. And I know that someone's in trauma because of certain aura colors. And I see them in specific places in our chakras. And I know right away that there's been parental trauma, there's childhood trauma, there's sexual trauma, alcohol trauma. I can pick up those because I've been around it for such a long time that I can usually, I'm cheating in the reading because of aura colors, because I'm saying, you've gone through a lot in the last few years, and you're still holding very tight to that abuse that you put up with when you were 6 or 7, because it's like rings around people's auras that you can actually define a time that they went through it. That's the way that I pick it up. So it's really weird for me. But how do you recognize as a health professional when someone is struggling and they don't know how to say it? Do you help us bring it out in us without us really knowing that we're bringing it out? Like, you obviously, Lara, you make us feel comfortable in your surroundings, and you listen intently. You listen to every effing word that we say. And it's important for you to do that, because you're probably not wanting to make a mistake on any level, because it could affect somebody, because that's your profession. But when you see someone struggling, how do we know the signs? Where do we see these signs of these people struggling?
Well, I mean, when you first asked, you asked as I do as a therapist.
Yes.
So I would say when there's difficulty connecting, that's when you know. I mean, sometimes it's if there's a change, right? If somebody's struggling when there's a change in your relationship, and that goes for being a therapist. It goes also for being
because it trickles down, right? It goes everywhere, right? For someone struggles. So if I come out with my struggle and I'm dealing with abandonment, and I'm thinking that that's all I need to fix, I don't think that that's a true story, because there's more attached to it than just abandonment.
Well, I think a lot of people go in and they're like, I want to fix this, right?
Right.
But it's almost like a car. people are not cars, I know this, but it's almost like a car, because if you have a part that's broken in your car, let's say it's part of the electrical system that's failing, right? It's
Yeah.
going to affect other components in your car.
Agreed.
So you can't just go in and like fix the electric part, because now your alternator might not be working, or you know, it's shorted out something else, your battery's not dead or something, right? So
Can
I
we
think-
have trauma over our struggles? Like everything that's affecting us, we're saying, I always use the abandonment because I know that one and I've dealt with it. But that again would make me a loner, or an inability to communicate, or I'm not doing very well in my job, because if I talk to this person, they're not going to talk to me again because I will feel that abandonment, or all of these little crazy things that we come up with because we exaggerate our feelings, do we not?
Well, that's because that's the emotional part of your brain. It's, you know, it's trying to keep you alive. You know, it serves a purpose. It's like, I'm trying to keep you alive here by keeping you out of danger. I don't want you to feel threatened, so we're going to do whatever we need to do to make this happen. And it's typically, like I said before, unconscious. It's an unconscious process. I'm going to say, when you have something that you're working on, as a therapist, one of the first things I do is I look at kind of how to build up other things in your life that's stronger, and then that helps you build your ego. And then once your ego strength increases, then you're going to be able to deal with this trauma. Because I also believe, like, if you look at symptoms of PTSD, it's nightmares, it's flashbacks, it's, you know, I mean, there's a lot, you know, dissociation is usually, you know, when you become flooded and your body's like, we're not ready to deal with this yet, right? So there's different treatment for that kind of thing. If it's, I don't know, if it's the nightmares and things like that, that's kind of, in my opinion, this is the depth psychology part. This is your psyche saying, I'm going to give you a little taste of this every once in a while because I need you to process this, because if we don't deal with this, you're going to be stuck in whatever area it is, right? So I feel that when I said before, like, our bodies are naturally trying to heal, I think it goes for the psyche too.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, that was a
What came
fucking great answer. I'm allowed to swear. By the way, this is the last that I'm not going to put too much pressure on you. How can friends and family really support someone who's in certain situations that are dealing with trauma? And we see it. We have our own trauma that we're dealing with, obviously, but we love that person that we're dealing with. Like, I know someone who is a perfectionist to a fault. And if they make a mistake, it's because of the way that they were brought up, the way that they see themselves, or it might have been something that was said to them in school. Or the person that is called fat all of a sudden has an eating disorder. I know I'm jumping from weird things to certain things, but it could take one word to discourage that person to feel that trauma and not be able to sort themselves out. And for me, how do we support someone when we don't have the tools to support them?
I really feel like
So sorry.
I feel like the connection is the piece here that kind of creates those cracks that let the light in, right? Into that darkness. So even if you're sitting next to someone and you don't know what to say, you're there, you're spending time with them. Like, our being human and growing as a human, it's all about like feeling seen, heard, and understood, right? So there are going to be things that people don't understand. And it's not helpful if you come in and say, oh, life's not that bad. Oh, you got this. Don't worry about it. Oh, you're strong. You can do this. Those are all very well-intentioned boosters, like cheerleading kind of boosters. But that's really sometimes makes people feel like, wow, you really don't get it, right? And we know that the main causes for suicide is loneliness and hopelessness. So if you're able to do any of those, like, combat that loneliness, I'm here, let's go to the grocery store, I'll take you to the doctor, I don't know, something, you know, morning call, texting, anything, you know, just to let them know that somebody cares about them and they're connecting and they're making that. And if they don't say anything, you don't have to pressure them to say anything. Watch a movie, you know, do something where you're not talking. that's the loneliness piece and the hopelessness piece is like, you know, bringing that torch of hope, as you know, because not always, I mean, time isn't good. No, I'm going to be a cheerleader. There's
Well,
so
no, listen, you're an advocate for this, and what I see people deal with, and I say I can't help you in this regard because I'm not educated in it, but I'm just saying, if you're suicidal and you're not doing well, it's them not even understanding the process of what you're going through because they don't understand, but it is that they're there for you and that they're acknowledging that we're not leaving you. We're going to nag you in a beautiful way, or like, let's go shopping. Let's go take that dog for a walk. Can you help me sort out the laundry? I mean, you're trying not to sway them in any other way, but you're giving them the attention that they've been seeking, no matter how you do it. And when we do that and they still fall off the deep end, that's when I look at people and their trauma about not being able to help that person who did take their lives. And you look at them and they go, I did everything that I could, but they still committed that act. And I know you're not going to have all the answers for this, Laura, and I don't know if this is even the scope of things to talk about, but it's a deep subject where I feel the pain for those people who help us. And automatically I tell them, you need to seek help yourself for the trauma that you've gone through. I can't give you those answers. On a spiritual level, they're healthy and happy, and they're never going to do this to themselves again because it was a process of their soul to learn. But that doesn't comfort them at all because they've lost someone that they love. So I'm saying that automatically, do we help them find someone? Or do we nag them in a very beautiful way again by just saying, well, I talked to you about it on Monday. It's Thursday. You haven't called anybody yet. Do you think we should look at and work on this together? Does that help, or are we hurting or hindering something?
I feel like it helps if somebody's really suffering from depression. They're not going to have the motivation or the reasoning to do anything, and they're probably really tired of living. Depression is a very hard thing. And so really coming at it, you can validate somebody's feelings without validating what they want to do, you know?
Right.
So, and it's okay to say, I don't know exactly what you're going through, but it looks like it's really hard, you know? And ask them, how can I help you here? Is it helpful for me to remind you that we need to go, you know, get dinner, or, you know, you need to feed yourself or do these things? So I really feel like going to the person and asking them, how can I help you? A lot of people know, and if they don't, and if they're really in that crisis situation, then it's about, you know, calling or taking them to get an evaluation to keep them safe, you know, because they're kind of past that point. I will say my thoughts on suicide are, you know, it's people who don't really want to kill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's really that they want to kill the pain or the suffering that they're going through, and they don't know how else to get rid of it. And that's a pretty extreme thing to do in order, you know, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
But I found with my depression, which was really bad at one point, where I was surrounded by people who loved me, and the idea of them just saying that they were there, and they were more frightened. And that's what I felt that for. And that's what a lot of people who go through that, they're more upset about the person watching us go through this because they're helpless. But what I try and say to them is, you also need the help to help yourself, as you're watching me go through something or someone going through something. That automatically, don't sit there and let it fester and say you can't do anything, or you want to help but you don't know how. You can get the tools to help yourself feel better, because we can't help you in that moment, but they do need the help.
Yeah, and that's when
it's hard to get someone to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think there's kind of a window, right? There's a window of clarity that someone can be in. And if they're outside of that, then there's nothing anyone can do except for get that person really critical help. You
Right.
know, they might not let, I mean, you know, if you ask a lot of people, hey, do you want to run down to the ER and get a psychiatric evaluation? They're not going to be really on board with that. You know, not
They're-
allowed. Some
they're-
people are. Some people are like, yes, that's, you know, I don't know what else to do. That's what, you know, because really when people are in crisis situations, if you narrow down their pool of choices, it's really helpful. If you go on and on and on, they're not, you know, things aren't sticking, right? They're just like,
Hanging tight.
yeah, what you were saying, they're like, I feel sorry for you that you're sitting here with me. You know.
Listen, we have to stop this amazing conversation, and I can go on for hours, and I wish we could. Do you have a hotline in the United States that people can call in crisis? Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yes, it's 988.
That's it?
That's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
We-
suicide prevention line.
We here in Canada have one, and it's 45645, and it's a crisis helpline, and people pick up on the first ring. So, and everyone, North America, just don't think that this is the end. This is not the end. We're here to listen. We're here to help. We'll do our best. We might not have all the answers, but you certainly gave us food for thought. And I would love for you to come back on again and maybe specialize with someone, because I think that we're just going to go and talk about this more often. And there should be no shame in what we're talking about. And I know I'm a psychic medium and I do these things, and I'm a life coach, I'm a healer, but we really need professionals like you, Lara, who care, who are empathic, who are intuitive in more ways than you like to admit. And I want to thank you so much for being on this show tonight. And I really hope that you will come back on.
Yes, I thank you for having me. This was fun. I mean, the topic's not the best. But if
we don't talk about the topic, then no one's going to talk about it. And we need to bring it up, especially now when we're getting out and about. We're going through the depths of our winters right now. You in California, not so much, but you are flooding down there.
I was going to say we had our share of rain finally.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we do here, you know, we just went through the darkest Monday was the third week in January. I don't know if you have that in the United States, but we call it Blue Monday, and it's the third Monday in January that it is the darkest, deepest, most traumatic time for Canadians.
Wow.
Short days. They're getting their bills in the mail from Christmas. They're trying to survive. A lot of people get laid off right after January 3rd. It's just crazy time. Yeah.
It's strange.
I know, but we go through that. I will send you that write up on that one for sure. But I know that you don't do private, right? Because you have a day job that's and you can't do this. And I really wish that you would be able to help us all. Trust me, because you would be the first person I would be going to. So Lara Clayton, I want to thank you. And I really honestly would like you to come back and maybe in another month's time. And maybe we can share, now that we've shared so many topics. I'm going to put a question out there to everybody and just say, what do we want to ask Lara? And maybe you can come on every once in a while and we can focus in on just one specific thing. And that would be easier on you, and you'd be prepared for it as well, because I gave you a lot of questions that were like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah,
Okay,
I'd love to.
perfect. I will reach out in the next 24 hours to give you a call and say thank you. And I think it's dinner time for you. Kraft dinner and hot dogs? Or mac and cheese and hot dogs?
What? No, I made soup.
Oh. Okay, so once again, thank you so much. And I hope to see you again soon.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
Thanks again, Lara. Take care. Bye-bye. Joseph, we want to say goodbye to our friend. There he goes. Look at that. Guys, we're a little bit overboard. Do we have Joseph? You want to come online for a sec?
I'm here. I'm here. Hey.
So what are we doing here? I know some people might have had questions because I can't do 5 things at once, but do we have some people who want a quick read?
We do. We have 3, but I've also let them know that this one was going a little over. So if they want to schedule ahead of time or for the next show, they can. We can do as many as you want.
Okay. So we've got 3 on there. So it's just one specific question for each person and we can get them online. I want them to give me their birth date right away and we'll talk about it. And let's uplift this a little bit and let's get some good things to answer. What do you think?
All right, let's bring Debbie in first.
All right, Debbie. Okay. Let's wait for Debbie. Debbie, get ready to take your mic off of mute. Debbie, why do I know this last name? Do I know you, Debbie Schultz? We'll wait. Hang tight. Give her a second. I love this thing. Hang on, Debbie. We're getting there. Hi.
There we go.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for listening and thank you for hanging tight for getting a quick read here. And
that's great.
so how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy to meet you.
This is a pleasure for me. I'm more honored about getting people to listen to me and want to know some questions and things. And being the spiritualist that I am, you do have a very strong female presence around you and a very small man to your right. Like someone who loved you, someone who cares about you and almost marches around you, very protective, just to let you know right off the bat. So that could be a dad.
Okay.
And he does love you. There's a strong sense of protection for you. So that's one thing. Now, what is your birth date, Deb?
September 15th.
Okay, a Virgo who likes to cause trouble.
Yeah. Much to my mother's dismay.
Of course, but you have an intellectual side to yourself. There's a love of animals, and I just saw a cat walking around.
Yeah.
They're your best friends, your comrades. They protect you, and they also warn you about certain things.
They do.
And they keep an eye out on you. And there's one cat that does not like wet food.
Yes. Roscoe.
Okay, so I'm being told, and I don't read animals. And Angel, who I had on as a guest, she says I can. That's the first time I've read an animal in my lifetime.
Yeah.
So this Roscoe is someone who was a protector of you in a past life during when you lived in Pakistan.
Ah, okay.
And you were very much like a debutante, somebody that was a trader in silks and specialty, like not spices, but items that could not be found anywhere in China, and you had them. And you were a force to be reckoned with, and you made what we would consider millions back in the day. And you died by being crushed by an animal.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how to explain that. It was a big animal. And you were buried, respected, and you had 3 daughters in that past life. And
Wow.
here, you make sure that you give everybody what they need. You overdo it. You profile people to a fault.
Mhm.
You will open your door to people that you trust, and you will always tell people to bring someone with them if you don't trust them.
Mhm.
You have a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot of love around you. So your 2023 is going to be quite amazing for Virgos, because you guys have been waiting a long time for change, which I think is amazing.
I hope so.
It will. There's going to be a lot of positive change, including your health.
I hope so.
Listen, the idea of what we just listened to in Lara is to change that frame of mind, talk to some people that are more positive, open
Right.
up your throat chakra, and your belly's going to be a lot better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've been working on my chakras and opening them, and it's the one in the gut, I can never remember the name of it now. The one like in the groin area that I always feel is blocked.
Sacral.
And yeah, sacral. It's a sacral one. And sometimes my heart chakra sometimes blocked. But I can always really feel the sacral chakra when that one's
Sacral
blocked.
chakra is your protection mechanism because you give and give and give, and you've done that your whole life.
Yes.
And there are some people that have treated you like a doormat, which have hurt you in the past,
Mhm.
and that you can't get over. That is trauma that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And you need to find that every time that acts as a trigger, you need to feel better that you did nothing wrong. You
Yeah.
are very good at what you do.
Right. Yeah. I just get used over. I see the good in everybody, or think I can help everybody. And I'm the nurse. I'm a nurse. That's probably why.
That's the
So, and then the
help.
trauma, my main trauma was losing my son. So that
Okay.
was my biggest trauma.
So I don't, because of everything that's gone on today, I could not fully focus on that.
Yeah.
But your son was taken into the light by your grandmother,
Oh, that would make sense.
and she sang to him, and that's how she sang to him to pull him into the light because he was afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know he was very afraid at the time of his death. It was so sudden. So Yeah.
Your grandma says that you brought up a beautiful boy.
Mhm.
He is happy, he is content, and he's the one who's trying to help you sleep at night because you don't do it right.
yeah. Yeah.
You're loved.
Yeah. I've got his ashes right here. So
Okay?
yeah.
He will always protect you, and he will be the first hands to pull you into the light. I promise you, Debbie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will light a candle for, what's your son's name so we can all know who he is?
James. Well, I
James.
called him Jimmy, but everybody else called him James because
My
once he
wife
grew
calls
up,
me Jimmy, and sometimes I just want to throttle her.
I know. Well, I still call him Jimmy. I'm the only one, but everybody else called him James. So,
Although my
but
mom,
he's always my Jimmy.
my mom,
I called him Bunny Lips, but he really didn't like that.
I bet you he didn't. He's laughing. I know that he's laughing.
Yeah.
I just wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I will light a candle of energy and positive energy towards him.
Thank
And
you.
I want you to feel his presence tomorrow. And it's when you make pancakes.
I was going to make pancakes tomorrow. I just bought them.
What he's waiting for, okay?
Thank you so much. You are such a joy.
And just
You're amazing.
thank you, Debbie. Just remember, warm up the syrup. I don't know why people don't warm up the syrup before they.
I know,
What's wrong with
right?
you?
I know. You Canadians have it right.
We do.
You do. I love it up in Canada.
Well, you're welcome up here anytime. And I want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me, okay?
Well, thank you. You're wonderful. I greatly enjoy you. I look forward to being in on more of your talks.
Podcast, and I'm looking forward to all of this. Much love for me, young lady.
Thank you so much.
And
Bye-bye.
James will show up and you'll have breakfast with him in the morning.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. You take care
All right.
now. All right. Bye-bye. Joseph,
Yes, sir.
I'm ready for one more. I know are we going to be able to like put this in as extras, or what are we going to do here? Because
We
people
can do some funky things.
you're going to do some funky things. Like, you're going to like cut half of my sentences off from talking so much, right?
Has anything been normal with us, with our relationship at all?
Never, Joseph.
Never.
It's just who we are.
Fair
Now,
enough.
wasn't that weird that I picked up the animal will not eat wet food in the pancakes? That's I love this shit, you know. You?
Get it to you one day. We have Motorhome 808, who is also Carlos.
That's interesting. Now, did I not read him just this week? I'll answer one question, but I hope I didn't read him already yesterday. Let him come
Okay.
on. Whoa, we're going to wait for audio. Get your camera on. Oh, look at him. Ask him to unmute. That's what I'm going to do right now. Hello. I can't hear you because your mic is not. There it is.
Hello.
Dude, how are you?
Hey, how are you, Jim?
I'm very good.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. What kind of a shirt are you wearing here?
It says June Lake, California.
Is that where you're from?
No, my wife's family's been going there for probably almost 80 years.
Crazy.
So we usually go about twice a year and
Do you?
spend like a month up there.
You need a sleep machine, dude.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm not joking. That is affecting your throat, your headaches, and everything about you. Get a sleep machine.
Sleep machine. Okay.
It's the breathing apparatus. I don't know what they call it.
Okay.
It will change your life.
Yeah, I have a hard time sleeping. And I was just telling my wife the last few months, my throat I feel like it's closing. Like I'll take a pill or
Yep.
something or
Yep.
eat food and it just stays lodged in there.
And that comes from your past life, because you ready for this?
Yeah.
You were a food tester for one of the pharaohs and you died multiple lives. You kept on coming back trying to save us.
The funny thing about that, what you just said, is my wife and myself and her brother in February are going to Egypt we're going to Europe for 2 weeks, and Egypt is one of the places we're going.
You're going to love, and you're going to feel like you're at home. Just, hey, tell the wife you're not taste testing her food. That's all I need you to say. No, I'm just joking. It'd be fine. Listen, the idea behind this is it's not about weight loss. It's not about any, I don't give a shit about diets and stuff. The idea is for you to stay healthy. What you're doing is you're not allowing yourself to be healthy. And everyone has been trying to tell you to take it easy. You know that the heart situation and diabetes in your family was crazy. You need to fix that now and not be part of the problem anymore.
Okay. I have one question.
I'm ready.
My wife and I, we do foster care.
Amazing.
And we
bless.
just got a little girl the other day, maybe 30 hours old.
Yes.
And she has just tugged at us like nobody has ever. And we don't know what the status is going to be with her, but we really, really, really want to adopt her. And I know there's always hurdles and stuff that you need to go through with this, but I kind of just want to know if that's actually going to be able to pull that through.
You will have her in your arms in October. And I'm hoping that this new little girl will be a part of your family in your Thanksgiving in November.
Yeah, we have her right now. And, it's just, wow, it's amazing.
She sees your hand, your touch. She is almost like saying she should have been with you and your wife and not through the other system. She didn't choose the right family, and she knows that she chose you. And so she will make this work for you. It won't be the system. The system will follow you. You've got this daughter.
Great. One of the things that I've done ever since I was a little kid, my mom would go, "You manifest everything." And I never knew what the terminology was, but anything that I ever wanted, I just wished for it, and my mom.
Under her foot?
Huh?
She have a birthmark under her foot.
I don't know. She's passed away a while ago, so I don't know. But she gave me the video, The Secret, and I
Yep.
was like totally blown away because I was like, that's exactly what I do, but I've never had a manual, for it up until then.
It's manifesting is a really cool thing, and it's an interesting spiritual tool, and it's worth using and working with. But it's almost like you're remote viewing a lot of things too, to bring those expectations into a part of your life.
Right.
Your wife was your brother in a past life, and you were both farmers. And you took care of everyone within your family. And the number 11 is a big deal for you guys.
Okay.
So pay attention into 2023. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I definitely will do that.
Thank you so much for reaching out, and I hope we meet at a longer time and maybe get together. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I definitely will get with you on this one.
No stress. I'm looking forward to meeting you, and wish your brother-in-law and your wife all the best. Then 2023 is going to be a good year. What's your birth year? And
It's June 14th, 1964.
Geminis have been, there's the number 11 for me. Geminis have been waiting 11 years in your birth year for something positive to stay full circle within you. Nothing will be taken away from you in 2023. Nothing.
Nice.
All
Good.
the best to you, my man. I really did enjoy this one.
I appreciate it, Jim. Thank you so much.
Take care, my friend. And
Bye-bye.
enjoy the trip. Enjoy your vacation. Have fun.
I will. Thank you.
All the best. Last one, Joseph.
All right, here comes Corbin.
All right. Waiting for Corbin's audio. Waiting for Corbin's video. Up. Look what he did. Up. Corbin, what's going on?
Am I here?
I can hear you. I can't see you because you just shut off your camera. I did something bad to you. Unmute yourself, please.
Okay,
There we go.
there's that.
And then do you have something over your camera?
No, it's plugged in. I wonder what just happened.
I don't know. But
Hmm.
listen,
Hey,
no, I'm looking at you. There sort of seems to be something happening here. That's okay. Corbin, don't worry about that. What's your question? What would you like to know? And give me your birth date and year, please.
I'm 10/24, 1975.
Okay. You know, they say that Scorpios are hard to read, but they're not really all that hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I an open book?
Well, it's not so much the open book. You want to be seen and heard for a change. There's been a lot of controversy in your life with people that don't give you the honest to goodness truth. And the ones that did faded away from you because they couldn't wait for you, because you procrastinated way too much.
Whoa.
And now you're trying to rediscover yourself and give yourself permission to grow, give yourself permission to be yourself. And everything that you're doing is going to be absolutely stunning. The only problem is that you need to take care of your belly health in April and May.
Okay.
That's the biggest deal. So it's reducing alcohol consumption, or it's reducing like soda pop, or I don't know how it's called, for like Coke or Pepsi or Dr. Pepper or Mountain Dew. Try and avoid all of those drinks because it's eating away at your small lining in your stomach.
Okay.
What
All
question?
right. Well,
question you got for me, my man?
let me see. How are things looking for this big test I'm going to take?
So when is the test happening?
Friday.
That's in conjunction for. Let me just see here. Okay, I'm trying to get into, because why are you nervous about things? You're way too nervous for the things that you already know what you're doing.
I'm studying for the test. Yeah.
I know, but you already know what you're doing. Just put everything into point form for yourself in your head and start looking at things differently than what you have been in the past. And by the time, so just,
It's algebra, man.
okay, I know, but what's happening here is you need to have the passion that you had in knowing that you can do this. You do this little bit of self-sabotage, and this other person who's struggling in studying themselves are like almost blocking you in things. But I can guarantee you, you will pass this exam with a 72.
That's great. I need a 70.
Wow. Corbin, you will do a 72, and it is formulas. It's pure formula.
Yeah. Electrician stuff.
Yes, and you're going to do fine. My father-in-law is a Sparky, and he had to do his master's, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so they're going to help you. Trust me, and it's open book, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So look at page 127. It's really important. I was just told.
I'm going to look at page 127 right now.
Okay, whatever that is, it'll give you a scope on what you have to do, but don't worry about it and walk in there knowing that you're going to pass. Do not walk in there with any doubt whatsoever, and you've got this.
All right. All right.
And
I can do that.
And just send me an email on my webpage and let me know how you did, please.
Okay, I'll do so.
And you'll get it in 2 weeks, and you get your paper, you got your master's, and then you can tell everybody that they didn't do the job right in the first place.
I don't want to be that guy, but
Oh, Corbin, you're going to have to be, because that's going.
I don't want people to tell me what to do. That the wrong thing, the wrong thing. That's
Listen,
all.
It was a struggle at the beginning for you to do this because you didn't think you could do it in the first place. And you took a trade that works for you and made you feel comfortable in your surroundings. And you are an idea man. You know how to make things work. And your OCD on making those electrical lines absolutely stunning and perfect. It looks like a piece of artwork.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's what you do with an art degree when the art thing doesn't pan out. Hey,
You'll be able to take that and use that on your job eventually. And there is no failure for you, my friend. You're going to do great.
that's right. That's great.
Do me a favor. When you do that, take a look at the sports car that you're going to lease out under the company that you're going to own. Okay.
Not into sports cars.
Oh
Got a
yeah.
nice van. Yeah.
No. You know what? It's gonna be a sports car. You're gonna get mad at me. It's gonna be a 2-door. It's gonna be blue, and you're gonna love it.
No, it isn't, Jim. Not at all.
I want to be right, and then if I'm wrong, I'll buy you a steak dinner.
All right, sounds great.
All right, Corbin. You take care, my man.
You too.
Thank you for everything.
Take her easy. Thank you.
All right, you too, buddy. Bye
Bye.
now. Joseph,
Yes, sir.
another show well done.
Amazing. Such great, topics we need to talk about.
We do. As difficult as they are, Lara put some stuff in my head that I'm just going, my God, she's a smart woman. And she knows her shit. You know what I mean? Like she can help so many people. And I think that it was nice to have her on the show because she certainly gave me food for thought. And I hope the audience got the same thing out of it too. So once again, thank you so much for doing this with me, Joseph. I know I pay you lots of money.
I'm rolling in it. She is still lingering. She's in the chat. So
She's in the chat. So why don't we hold on to her for a second and then say goodbye to everybody.
Absolutely.
Everyone, this was episode 9.
It was.
Joseph, once again, you did a great show and helped me a lot. And you always do. To my fan base, to everybody, there's a lot of good things coming down the pipeline. I have an opportunity to do a couple of different adventures that I'm so looking forward to. I'm going to be talking to Canadian Paranormal, and I'm hoping to do something live on Friday, but I need to talk to them about it first. And we're going to do some spooky stuff for a change and try and get some answers from the dearly departed and see where they're at, and maybe a few demonics. Who knows? Might as well get back into it again and have some fun. Once again, everybody that listens, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And I guess our guest is going to be that group. And we're going to talk about our adventures that we did this Friday and what they do. And they're a part of Angel as well, Angel Morgan. And she's an amazing intuitive psychic and healer and a pet psychic and all of those things. And everything comes full circle here. So I want to thank you all for enjoying the show, having fun with me, and putting up with me tonight. Cheers to all of you, and I have much love from me. And if you need help, get help. And it's SMS 45645. Get the help. You're not alone. Take care, everybody. Cheers.